Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hi. Today I'm going to talk about mapping the maze, exploring the issues with the graph databases. Let's start with me. I'm Björn Brala. I'm CTO at Swiss. I do JSON API for core and a lot of other things I find fun and interesting. Board member for the Dutch Drupal Association and a bit of an explorer of technology. We always need to talk about Swiss. Yeah, I work at Swiss. We're a digital agency from Leiden. And we explore technology with Drupal, Laravel, and AI, as we all do right now. So, did you ever sit in a project and found some bug in Drupal and end up searching for a solution for your bug? So you end up using Google probably, because search on Drupal.org is not ideal. And you end up at an issue which is okay, which is probably what you need, and you want to try and help and fix it. And before you know it, the bug turns into a maze of issues with related issues, blockers, and all that kind of stuff. There's postponed on this, postponed on that, related issues through 1, 2, 3 issues deeper, waiting to be solved before your little bug that you want to solve can be solved. That's also the moment that that you run into issues, because Drupal.org is not that fast. Yeah, so trying to unravel 40 issues on Drupal.org is hell, let's be honest. So it's really as a snail, yeah? So working through the issue queue, going through the child issues, trying to map what the hell is happening in your mind takes a lot of effort, and it's no fun. So we have no happy developers. For that, I created something called the Drupal Issue Explorer. When I started working on JSON API, I wanted to get a feel for how the state of the issue queue was and how the different relations worked, what were the hotspots of things that need to be fixed, and that way provide as much value as I can in the limited time I have. That started with a little bit of an experiment where I just asked the API, what are the issues, what are the relations, and put them in some random graph database and start querying. And it's really helpful and fun to see what kind of relations you see, and there's always hotspots on what to do, but there's also a lot of more things you can find hidden in the issue queue if you move through relations. I do this with a graph database. A graph database is basically a database that runs on nodes, and a node has an edge, which is a relation to another node. And that way you build a big graph of nodes. And that's pretty cool, because a graph database can model those relations really easily. It's really low effort. There's not much schema you need to do. You can just go in a little bit, which is also maybe not the most stable thing. But it's really easy to get started and really easy to start doing stuff. It's also really fast. So querying a graph database for relations, or finding paths from one issue to another, or finding issues with an X depth from another issue is really easier. And that enables you to do a really intuitive exploration of a big network of issues. Yeah? It's also fun because there's available tooling. So to get started, you just have a database, or you can just take a desktop application and start querying and moving through the relations and seeing the web and seeing the hotspots of that specific part of the issue queue in this sense. But using something just, the desktop tooling is not really that intuitive and not that really that fun. But let's first look at why, how this compares to just a relational database, yeah? So relational database, you have tables, you have rows, and you have foreign keys to refer to other tables or other rows in your data set. And in the graph database, you just have the nodes which relate through the edges, yeah, so with relation to the other things. And a node can be anything. It's just basically some sort of JSON object kind of thing that you can put stuff in. The query language is a little bit different because it's really focused on relations. So it's really about, okay, give me these nodes and give me all nodes that are the actor for this movie, for example. And so you're writing different queries because you're asking different questions. If you're going to try that with a relational database, you're going to have to do joins, and if you go deeper and deeper and you try to do stuff with parent and child things, then things get complicated and very slow really quickly. Now, the schema flexibility, I'm not sure if a dynamic schema is really a good point or a positive point, but still, it's there. So this really matters if we're going to explore the issue queue, because of speed. I don't want to wait for a few seconds for some sort of query to get me a nice set of data. It's really easy to connect to existing tooling and say, get a graph view of your graph. And it's a really fresh perspective on the data you're actually analyzing and the data you're looking at. But that's only talk. And I think it's fun to have a look at how that could work, or how that works, actually, I should say. So I'm going to do what I always say I won't do, and that's press Alt-Tab, and have a look at the Drupal Issue Explorer in real time. I'm a developer, I'm not a designer. Please, please be gentle. So, what you see here is just a default view. I loaded up this project, and you can get it on GitHub, and just do data start, and you can use it right away. And you get your database, you get your everything, and everything. Basically, this is your root nodes. So I'm saying, well, I want to know things about the add constraints to all config entity types. I want to know stuff about it. And it's a pretty big web of issues, yeah? And what you see is everything that is within 2 hops of that issue. So it's a bit small. Let's do this. And it's not responsive. This might be a little bit better, yeah? If you look at this, it is all issues that are within 2 hops of that root issue, yeah? So we can even say, let's do 3, and then we have all issues that are 3 from the root node. This is fun, but a little bit chaotic, so let's keep it at 2 for now. And there's a lot of fun things you then can know about the issues around that. You can see how this issue, which are direct relations. So we have all issues which are direct relations to that issue and what the status is for that issue, because that's color-coded the same as Drupal.org. And it gives you the possibility to see how are they related. If we look into the API of Drupal.org, there's only a few fields. Something can be a parent issue, have a parent issue, I should say, or something can have related issues. But it's all one way. Yeah, and in the graph database, because I parse the data, we have 2-way relationships, so it's easier to find what you are looking for. So together with that, you also have, of course, your tooltips to make sure from what am I looking at, but also stuff like status overview. So for all issues within 2 hops of this root node issue, there are 3 issues that actually need review to get things moving again. Or these are the 30 issues that need work to move on to the next state. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's chaos, but it's a lot of fun. And in total, it's about 200 issues. There's also the list sorted on distance. So the closest issues at top, but it's a way to look at what is open and what is closed, and what is close by. What's also fun to see is that you see a little bit of background. That's all the issues that are closed, because those are less relevant. I can open them, but this is not really readable. So let's keep those just in a low opacity. Those exist. We know they are. We go through them for the relationships, but we don't really need to see them. And that's the fun thing about looking at a graph like this and exploring where can we go to fix things, is that sometimes you find little leaf nodes that are forgotten on the edge of the graph. So this issue has been fixed. This is add some tests, but there's a few child issues or follow-up issues that didn't get the attention they deserve. And those are the issues that tend to die, tend to be forgotten, and tend to be not done really until they get done later. Yeah. But it's also when you look at something like postponed. Yeah, if something is postponed, let's say this one, this is postponed on God knows what. You can easily see which issues that might be and what issues didn't work. There's of course also a detail view, because I don't like the Drupal.org interface being slow. So just ask the API, give me this node, please, and then basic representation of that node. But it's also possible to just explore here and say, okay, this one is interesting for me, so let's go there and see how things are going there. If you then want to start exploring the graph from that new issue, you can just say, well, this is my new road node. Let's start from this point. And then you get all the relations, X steps from that point. Of course, there's you saw the earlier black screenshot, there's the obligatory, let's make it 3D because it's cool. It's fun, yeah. Is it useful? But it is interesting to see the groups of issues or the star clusters of issues that might be closely related. The technology used to generate this graph is it just puts everything in the middle and assigns a certain force to the different nodes based on the amount of relations. And so they push away through their relations. And that way you end up with little clusters. But that's always a little bit heavy, so with 3 you're gonna go from, that's okay, 3. But if you go 4, then my laptop already thinks, are you sure about that? You want to do that? And things do get a little bit choppier, yeah? But still, with like 1,400 issues, it's okay, it's pretty fast. But there's more. I talked about searching, how we use Google to search Drupal.org. There's also full text search. So we can just say, I don't know, PHP 8.4. What do we need to do for PHP 8.4? And it's a full text search on the title right now. Could be different. And if you select such an issue, you just set it as a root node and you start exploring from that issue and around it. Other than that, I try to have a look at what kind of issues what kind of new information we might find if we look at something like this. So there's some statistics and lists and information to help us find stuff. I can load all orphan issues, but that's like 70, we'll see. That's a lot. So let's not do that here, because then we're looking at a blank screen. But we could look at all issues by status, for example, and see all data. No, that's fine. we could look at all issues by status, but then let's do this. I'm sorry, I'm going to do this because I don't like the fact that the issue is, the data is a little bit old. The data is updated about every 4 hours. Just on GitHub, we just scrape what's changed and we just update the data and export a new database. This database is just committed. It's like 45 megabytes or something, or 90, so that's fine for now. And the importing is pretty fast, so it's not that big of a deal to do. So that's 116,000. That makes more sense than 7 or 13. So it's fun to see it. Okay, what are the orphan issues? What are the orphan issues and what status do they work on? And how much of the total issue count is this? So if we look at the amount of issues that, for example, are open, active, this is the first state an issue is when it comes onto Drupal.org, it's about half. Half the issues are orphan issues, so people have a problem, let's put an issue in, then let's go. And that you could also see if you look at things like closed cannot reproduce. 87% of the closed cannot reproduce are single issues, which makes sense because, at the point that you have a set of relations, the chances are your issue is actually an issue. This is fun statistics, just to see, and there's way more to find, but let's see what we have more. Core components. Just have a look at what kind of issues, how many issues for different components are open in core. And then, of course, users. We need some work there. Let's go. But it's just fun to see how many total issues there are, or perhaps how many open issues there are. And it could direct you into where to go next and where to find new work or contribute. And of course, the most referenced issues is something you could not do without a graph database. Okay, what are the things that are most referenced by others or are most referencing others, and the sum of that. So let's fix the coding standards in core, please, is the message we should all listen to. So that's fun. Yeah, that's the backup. Yay. So exploring the maze, we saw quite a few things. We can easily explore issue relations in a way that's all good. We can easily find forgotten issues. I mean, visually, they're alone and sad, so let's go there. It's easier to unblock big issues. I recently started working on the config validation because I thought, well, that's a good idea because JSON API will be way better if that's fixed. And we can expose config through JSON API. That would not really be this easy without this. I really don't think so. Full text search is just fun. It's a fun thing to have, and I'm happy to have that, although it could use some optimization. And there's a new database with all the relations and new ways to find new data and to explore new data and to explore new statistics. So the data is updated every few hours. As I shared earlier, you can just clone the GitHub repository, run ddef start, run ddef neo4j import, and play around with it. It's no problem. The synchronization and the API calls is in a different repository because I'd rather not have people hammering the API. Drum would slap me in the face. The database is available, and you can just connect it with desktop applications, and it's built in React because I never did it, so I was like, yay, let's do React. That's how things work, yeah. I'm an explorer. So I think the why is pretty clear, yeah. I was trying to find a way in quite a lot of issues, and it was hard to find the right issues or find the root causes of stuff I'd like to fix. And I think that having this is really helpful for either contributors to know where they can contribute easily or where they can unblock certain issues they might want to unblock. This could also be really helpful for core maintainers, where they perhaps filter on their subsystem and say, yeah, how is my subsystem looking? What is blocked? What is forgotten? And things that you can't really cough up right now from the current interface. So, although we started with a maze of issues, I think that the Drupal Issue Explorer really transforms that maze into a map, into how Drupal works and what needs to be done. So, hopefully you can try it out, and thank you. We still have some time for questions if someone wants to ask. Anything? Go download it from, oh, I'm sorry.
Then I make it one question. Do you have a Jira plugin?
A Jira plugin? No.
Okay.
No, I don't have a Jira plugin. This is something I just put together.
Very interesting to see this kind of stuff for the issues that you have in your own projects, right?
That could also work quite well if you're decent with doing relations and decent with doing reference to other issues. It could be really easy. And in the end, it's mostly changing where the data comes from, and the infrastructure is pretty much the same. Although the issue detail page is a Drupal thing, and there's some transformations there to keep it in the application state of links to Drupal org and stuff like that. But it is a small step to do. I thought about it also because we're moving to GitLab issues, and we need to. If we have GitLab issues, everyone needs to have a new interface, and it's going to be hell, I think, to make sure that everyone can still contribute to Drupal, and this perhaps can help alleviate the switch, giving people an alternative to finding those issues. But the connection would be pretty easy, because, yeah, just gate the data a little bit differently and tell it, this one relates to this one, put it in, and life is good. Thank you.